I'm a retired Air Force. I was one of those guys that Donald Trump insulted, said we were losers. I was a POW in North Vietnam in 1972 and 1973. That was probably the most insulting thing a politician's ever said, and probably another person. I've never heard any fellow American call us losers. Those of you who have been in combat and have been in the military, there's several things you do. You were going out on a mission, you didn't know if you were going to come back, or your buddy was going to come back, you didn't know if you were going to be captured, wounded, you had no idea. So to disrespect us POWs, like Donald Trump did, is indirectly insulting everyone in this room that served in the military or is in the military. So it's not limited to us. We also know a lot about leadership, and the guy that should be standing up here is a good friend of mine and one of your fellow Floridians, Medal of Honor recipient, Colonel Leo Thorson was supposed to be here. He could not make it. I was a former president of our organization, which was quite an honor for a young guy like me. I know looking at these two guys, or these other folks right here, I look pretty old, and I am. But I've seen leadership through my time in the Air Force, in the military, and I recognize leadership, and I don't see leadership. That's the kind of leadership I want as a commander-in-chief out of Donald Trump. What I see out of Marco Rubio is a level guy. He will not do the ready, shoot, aim that Donald Trump will do, and he doesn't know where that bullet's going. Marco Rubio will take close aim. He's got a quick mind, and he'll get the job done. And I've already voted in South Carolina, right? Come down here and vote again. And I probably would have if I was a Democrat. But you guys all vote next week and get as many of your friends as you can, because we need a guy who's steady and knows what's going on. And you can look at Marco's face and you can tell the character of that man, and that says a lot to me, and that's my criteria for who our president ought to be. And I hope it's yours as well. There's going to be a short break, and then Johnny's going to come up.
If I can make it up those steps, we can win this election, right? Listen, the last time I was in a packed air hangar this hot, I was on my way to Afghanistan, so I'm much happier today. In 2010, I was in a hospital bed. At 24 years old, the veteran of 2 wars, a dad, and a brother of 2 men that were about to lose their life, and I didn't know it. And the worst part about all of that I overcame and could overcome, was that I had a commander-in-chief that didn't know why we were there. And we're pulling our legs out from under us as we fought. So when I got ready to pick my candidate for the 2016 presidential election, the first place I looked was a record on supporting those that are active now, and especially those that come home with injuries like mine. The VA isn't a terrible place, but it's in a terribly bad condition right now. It's a terribly bad leadership. And there's only one candidate who not only proposed legislation, but ensured the legislation passed, gave us the ability to fire those that do a bad job and misuse appropriate funds, mismanage facilities. That's Senator Marco Rubio. Beyond that, at 24 years old, having fought 2 wars and almost raised a son to the ripe old age of 7 years old, being plagued with this baby face, I know it takes a little bit more than age and years to surmount wisdom and experience. And that's what I see when I look at Marco Rubio's record. What we need in this country isn't someone who can stand up here and speak fire and brimstone for the purpose of speaking fire and brimstone, but someone who's worked with people in their party and the other party to get things done. The VA isn't there, but it's in a better place, and we have much more opportunity to get it there because of Senator Marco Rubio's work. Now we've got one candidate who's habitually voted to defund our military, and if you want to know how you keep guys from coming back like me, you give them the gear, the assets, and the support they need. We have another candidate who can't help himself but to insult us, not only talking about my heroes, the POWs, who, thank God, made it home, but also the men and women that I see every day who suffered a traumatic brain injury, because that's just going for a little ride, right? No, there's a lot more to this election, and for the veterans in the audience, there's a lot more on the line than a cool soundbite or getting someone angry. My time in the Marine Corps taught me just being angry didn't really accomplish much of anything. Ladies and gentlemen, I live in Texas. I've cast my vote. You all have that special privilege, that right coming up, and I know who you're going to vote for, but the question is, who are you going to go home and tell your family and your friends to vote for? Who are you going to knock on doors and get the excitement going? Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to hear from Senator Marco Rubio? Are you ready to hear from the man who will put this country on the right track for decades to come? Ladies and gentlemen, the next President of the United States of America,